Herrmann.
Yeah. All right. Welcome, everyone. My name is Alexander Herrmann. I'm an independent researcher these days, no longer working at Uniswap, but I used to work there and had a really good time. And I'm known for innovations like the Mac AM, so I have lots of experience in the MEV space. And today I'm excited to share something new. Over the last half a year, my collaborators, Dan Robinson, Malish, Chimak, and we have been looking into priority auctions. On the one hand side, we looked into their strengths, on the other hand side, on their weaknesses. And we were actually able to come up with a new concept that we call SPA, Synchronized Priority Auctions. And it, diminishes some of the weaknesses that priority auctions still have. And all of the things I'm going to present over here are really cutting edge. So quite likely there will be iterations, quite likely there will be improvements. And if we could even spark some of them over here at the conference, that would really make me happy. So if you're interested in topic, please find me after the presentation. I'm more than happy to jam along. So let's get started. I think that if we are improving priority auctions, we can improve a lot of things. For example, we can improve order flow settlements. UniswapX is already live and settles orders with priority auctions. Very excited about that. And also some AMMs are already live that capturing MEV on priority order chains with these priority auctions. But if we can make them better, we can do even much cooler things. For example, for order flow settlements, what we can do is we can settle opposite order flow and directly match them against each other so that we're yielding even better execution for the users. And for AMMs, we can allow that they are capturing their MEV several auctions running simultaneously just in one transaction, and that really reduces the risks for the arbitrageurs who are bidding in the competition. And so we even gain there more efficiency, more competitive bidding, better returns for LPs. That was super quick. If you're now wondering, well, how does all that work together? Well, I got you covered in this presentation. I want to run with you through the following agenda. First, we want to take a refresher into the concept of priorities all you need. Then we are looking specifically into some of the challenges. And then I present over here the solution that we found. We call it the 3-range auction mechanism. And last but not least, we will finish up with the expected impact. So let's do the refresher. Priorities all you need is a paper written by Dan and Dave. And it's very simple on the one hand side, but also really powerful on the hand side. Basically, only you need 2 ingredients. First, that the sequencer is ordering all transactions by priority, which is right now happening for many L2s, for example, Base or Unichain. And you need some other small theoretic assumptions, for example, that the transactions are private or that they are not censored. And then the second very important ingredient that you need is actually that on-chain auctions are charging a price dependent on the priority of a transaction. And if you have these 2 ingredients, then you get something wonderful. Then basically the first bid interacting with an app is actually the best bid and all the others can neglect it. So it's very efficient. Let me try to visualize that over here. We have here one app and you have 2 transactions interacting with the app. And then the transaction that actually has the higher priority actually is selected first because it pays the app the higher price. And for that, it is winning the auction. And that is really used for order flow settlement with UniswapX. It's very simple. You basically say, I'm having this on-chain auction, then I want to find the best settlement. Whoever gives me the best settlement is allowed then to settle first because they can specify the highest priority. And also for MEV capturing, same thing. The AMMs are auctioning off the right to first interact with their liquidity. And then with that, they're recapturing some of the value that people could usually extract with interacting with their liquidity. So again, super powerful concept, very simple and beautiful, but of course it has some small challenges. And one of the biggest challenges is the atomic settlement for priority auctions. So atomic settlements of several priority auctions is not possible if different priorities are needed for the settlement process. I have here again a diagram that illustrates that. Imagine you have two apps. On the one hand side, you have an app that auctions off a huge amount of auction proceeds, so you need a really high priority to bid perfectly for it. And on the other hand, you have an app that only auctions off a small auction proceeds, so you need probably a lower priority. But still, if you want to settle them atomically in order to get some benefits, you cannot do that because you cannot have one transaction with two priorities. And this then really demonstrates itself if we are looking into some examples. For example, for UniswapX, imagine you want to sell off 1 Ether and you want to buy 1 Ether. Then it would be perfect if the two of you could be matched perfectly against each other. But yeah, if you cannot settle them with one atomic transaction, you cannot do that. You need to have market maker involvement and so on. So I really hope that I've convinced you that atomic settlements would really benefit from an improved atomic settlement system. Just because that would overall reduce the risk for the bidding process and for arbitrageurs and solvers. Right, and now I'm going to show you the solution that we've come up. So we're in the same setting as in a normal priority ordering setting. That means all the transactions are again ordered by priority. But what we do different is that we are cutting the whole priority range into different subsections in which different processes should happen. And in the first subsection, we are running a baseline auction. Here, people can bid for the baseline compensation. That means the compensation for interacting just with one single app. And here, people are only bidding. There's not yet an execution of the baseline. And then in a second priority range, we are running our synchronized priority auctions. Here, people can bid for the additional value beyond the baseline compensation. This additional value we are calling the SPA benefit. Here the bids are executed immediately and atomically in many, many apps, and auctions can be touched simultaneously. Then we still have a third process in a third range where we are executing also the baseline bids as a fallback mechanism if they were not overbid by the synchronized auction. And after that, the application is basically open to interact with all other things, normal user activities. And let me try to visualize that here one more time, more in detail, so that it gets more clear. At the beginning of a block, we want to run these baseline auctions. There are second baseline auctions, and here on the screen you see two apps, and they are basically collecting very roughly what is their baseline compensation if people would just interact with their app. And now what we are doing is we are pouring this information into the synchronized auction. So you can see on app 1 and app 2 these green boxes, and basically now the fee curves are adjusted in the synchronized priority auctions so that we are at least charging the MEV compensation of the first stage, the baseline MEV compensation. And then depending on the priority of the transaction that wants to settle several of these priority auctions, we are charging an additional amount here that you can see here as the orange boxes. The transaction interacting with these two actions has, of course, one common priority. That's why you're seeing this one dashed orange line. And it really determines then how much of the synchronized priority auction benefit you're actually getting. And yes, that's a really powerful concept that creates some additional value for all the auctions involved. So coming to the expected impact, I think that we will really have better MEV capturing mechanisms if we can implement such a thing. That means the liquidity providers earn more profit, more liquidity for traders, and that results, of course, in better prices. And also, if we can improve settlements mechanism like the UniswapX protocol, these priority auctions that are settling order flow, then also you get basically better prices for the users. And if you want to sum it up, it means better economic wealth for all of us. So what I want you guys really to remember is just one thing: synchronized priority auctions. They unify on the one hand side the priority auctions, and on the other hand side the atomic settlements, and with that bring this additional value. Thank you so much. I really hope I can catch some of you later to jam a little bit about this.